Yeah,
Yay.
we are live, just like that. Oh, watch your fingers. Good afternoon, good Monday to you, everyone. This is Leo. We are on live with Leo at 5. As you can see, it's 5:07 right now here in California. I have the amazing Gabi Garrett. Hi,
Hi,
Gabi.
everybody.
So Gabi is a published author, journalist of 150 platforms, including USA Today, Buzzfeed, Apartment Therapy, um, Elephant Elephant Journal, Tiny Buddha, one of her favorites, Sivana Network, and much, much more. She now teaches other aspiring writers and spiritual entrepreneurs how to get their work published and serves as a ghostwriter and publicist and utilizing her editorial connections with ease. So I love what she does. I love what she does because she is the bridge between what you do and all the audiences that are out there available for you. So I want to bring her on to kind of just have a conversation with her. I have a lot to learn, but I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have a lot to learn as well. So I want to bring her on and have her share some of her genius with us. So welcome, Gabi.
Thanks, Leo. I'm happy to be here. Hey, everybody on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you are.
Hi, hi, hi. So first of all, how did you get into this job, this entrepreneurial um, uh, position that you're in right now?
Well, I have to tell you, so it's 7:08 in Alabama. And so usually when people introduce me, I'm in the hustle and bustle of the day. So I don't really have time to be like, I guess more like laid back because, my emails are answered, my work is done. So I have to share when you were introducing me, I was like, wow, that's me. Because 3 years ago, I was 240 pounds working in a cubicle and dealing with like massive, massive panic attacks. So I had written on a little piece of paper that I wanted to be a writer and a yoga teacher. And I said I would do it by the time I'm 30. Well, it actually happened 2 years ago. So a year later, I was able to transition into that. So it actually happened on accident. We moved because my boyfriend had the opportunity to advance his career in Alabama because he works in retirement living. And at the time, I had a 90-hour a week event planning job. I had 6 bylines in the local paper every single week. And I was teaching 6 Pilates classes a week. So I was so tired and I had like 20 friends. So moving to a small town in Alabama where I knew no one sounded amazing. So I was like, let's go. I'll get a job in advertising. Spoiler alert, I didn't get the job, but I got a contract. So how I ended up here was the guts to ask for that contract and then about 100 more after that.
Wow. Now, just so you guys know, I did not know any of that. And I'm totally blown away because it's super, super inspiring because, obviously you had, amazing work ethic and amazing energy to be able to pull that off,
Yeah.
and you were just intending like, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, I just told everyone like I'm just gonna go really hard and try to make it up the corporate ladder just to say I did. Then I might have kids and start writing or something, but that's not what the universe had in store for me. So it has been a really unique thing. And I think the power of intention is just so obvious. Like I would say if any of you are like in the spiritual practice, you have a vision board or even just a goal sheet, and I'm sure if you're friends with Leo, you have one of those, like you have intentions, you're motivated. Don't put a date on it because it could happen tomorrow. You have to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, I try to wake up every morning and say like, what am I ready for today? And whatever comes, I'm going to say yes and I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and then it'll just take you on a road which you kind of intended, your spirit intends it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where it comes from, it comes from within. So you try not to question it, but you also want to feel like, hey, this is in alignment, with who I am and what I'm doing. And if it's coming really from you, deeply, then it's gonna be. And if you don't follow that, you're I don't want to say your body, but your life kind of punishes you and say like,
Oh,
hey,
Yeah.
no, that's not where I want you to go. That's not right. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what was happening to me in the job. I mean, the weight gain and the anxiety was just signals my body was sending me, like, please don't do this to us anymore. And so there's a big difference between anxiety and the fact of like you're on the wrong path, and fear on the fact of like you're growing into something bigger.
And so you were doing event planning, but then you had already had, how did it get into the marketing and the advertising side?
Yeah, so I was freelance writing on the side of the event planning job. I don't know why I thought I had time to do that, but I was writing for my friends. So as a yoga teacher, I was connected with like Reiki healers and like crystal shop owners and acupuncturists. So I would trade with them. So like they would give me the service, and then I would write their websites, blogs, etc. And then they would give me testimonials to build my portfolio. So I was healing, and I was just creating a really amazing like work portfolio. And so I used that portfolio and all of the articles I had been in to get the advertising interview when we moved to Alabama. And the guy was so cool. He's like, "You're such a good writer. We just don't have a job for you." And so I was just like couldn't see like the coolness that was ahead. So I called him and I was like, "Look, I know you don't have a job, but do you have a project, just like something I could work on?" And he said yes. And the rest is history.
And so you never like, oh, if it's just a project, maybe I should go find a job that, a stable, secure job.
Oh, I definitely had that thought like a million times. I mean, I think every entrepreneur does, just like that. Well, if I just had the security, then I would feel more confident to do this, or I just need one more job, or just let me try again. And it certainly wasn't without debt and fear. And, I really didn't have like I really, really didn't can tell you like securely that I was like making money until like 3 weeks ago. Like it took 2.5 years and me sitting here during the quarantine to make my business profitable.
Well, I think a lot of people want to hear that right now because as entrepreneurs, you always pay and pay and pay with your effort and
Yeah.
time and resources, and you're investing, money, and you're investing more time, and you're doing all that stuff, and you don't see that until much much later. It doesn't work that way. It's not based on time anyway. So you got to figure out where the value is,
Yeah.
and when you get there and all the values converge, is when everything starts to pay off. But then the good thing is when the machine, the little value machine starts working,
Yeah.
then it just turns over and you're like, hey, I can't keep up. Let me hire some people or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yes.
So I think just knowing that gives you more patience and gives you better planning to know that like, hey, I gotta make sure I can cover myself, but this is my dream. I gotta invest into it, and I gotta see it through because, um, you know, the cubicle thing hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
For the
Exactly.
soul, for the body, for the amount of hours you're trading time,
Mhm.
for money, and it's never a fair trade.
No,
It
absolutely not.
never is a
And
fair trade.
And I think you see the quotes and you hear from the entrepreneurs that they were unsuccessful for years, but it's until you find that like leaping moment of going all in. So like I actually got this tattoo. Let's see how I can show you without. It's a lightning bolt, and it was to ensure that I would never get a full-time job again because I would have to go to the interview and look down and know I gave up.
Wow, I got a tattoo for that.
I did because I thought like because at the previous job I had you couldn't have a tattoo because it was like a very high end resort and I was the wedding planner. But I was like, I know that there are a lot of creative jobs that would allow me to have a tattoo, and I'm not closing the door completely because a creative job would allow you that. Like I'm not saying if the White House called me to be like their media correspondent, or if like you started a crazy tech empire, or one of my clients was just like you have to work full time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like I don't ever want to sell myself short. So I think when you're an entrepreneur, like if you find a steady gig, it's just like having one massive client. You aren't giving up. So like if there's that opportunity, I just want to clarify that because you're still an entrepreneurial mindset, right?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I mean, if everybody can go get a tattoo and become entrepreneurs and be successful at it, everybody should go out and get a tattoo.
Yeah, heck yeah. I
You
got
know?
this. Like I've got 5 of them. So five tattoos, 8 clients.
The more tattoos, the more clients, right?
Exactly.
Because the more commitment. right?
More commitment. Yeah. But what I meant is by telling that story was like, until you go both feet in, you will have the hesitancy to fall back, which means your mind isn't fully committed. And once you commit, all these opportunities come forward that weren't there before because your energy is like wholeheartedly in it.
Yeah, that's so important. I think that's one of the biggest things is that you almost can't learn that from anything else almost.
No.
You know, because it's not like you're committing to like jump off an airplane and like 3 minutes later you're down on the ground and like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
This is like, you know, months and months and years of work of committing and recommitting and recommitting and recommitting, you know, until you know, start getting some results and then you keep going. And some entrepreneurs, well, most entrepreneurs, you can see Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're not stopping. They got all the money. They can retire. They can retire on the money they got. They're not stopping. They're still, working at it. And so I think it's the biggest thing that you can learn from being an entrepreneur is the level of like real commitment. Like that's like really real. They're staring you in the face like every day when you wake up. Like, yeah, I'm committed to this, you know. And so if you ever wanted to be a really committed person, that's what you need to be, because your brain will tell you like, hey, this is scary. I've never done it before. I don't know if I can do it. Let's run away. You know,
oh my gosh, I know.
Every day, do that to you every day. But then the smart person in you, the smart brain that you have, which is what separates us from animals. The animals, like, we get scared to just go. They're not thinking about like, oh, what's my future going to be like? You know, they're not thinking about like, well, I can just pile up like, 20 years worth of meals, and I'll be fine. I'll have to hunt for the rest of my life. They're not thinking that. They're like, hey, I'm hungry now. I go hunt for something. Hey, there's a scary thing over there. Let's run the other way. And so that's, being a human requires you to make a higher commitment. And so I think that really teaches us to do that, because we, let's face it, we live in the US, right? Everything's like handed down to us. We got all the freedom, we got all the opportunities we want. We can get taken care of. Nobody's gonna let you starve.
No.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The risk isn't that high. It's like Tim Ferriss always says, like, what's the worst that could happen? And you could survive that. I actually, like, you can live through the worst. Like, I thought my business was failing in December and my grandpa had to give me a loan and he looked at all my debt and it was like so rock bottom, like so embarrassing. He was like, you need to get a job. And I was like, okay, I will. And then I got home and I was like, okay, I can apply for jobs, but I can also try to close clients. And until then, I had never actively pursued leads, which sounds crazy because like I had been in business for so long. But, our friend Sharon was just giving me all my clients. And so I was just like, oh, I don't really have to do anything. He's just giving me his friends. And I was like, So that was when I really shifted from like a freelancer to a CEO, when I went and got my own clients, because then I wasn't, as much as I appreciate him, someone's friend doing the work, which made me feel as if I didn't impress his friends, that like he might be upset with me. So it's like a people pleasing mentality. I'm so grateful. But when I shifted away from that into a CEO, when he was unavailable, I was only trying to please myself and my clients. I didn't have a boss anymore. And that's really when I became a woman, not like a girl people refer people to.
Yeah, I think that that accountability is really important. Like, if I can find more and more of those accountabilities that actually like really works. So I had a coach that told me, hey, Leo, I know how to get you to prospect. And like, I know how to get you to cold call. I go, okay, well, tell me. Like, write me a check for $5,000, and when you don't do it for one day, I cash it. And I'm like, that's not really accountability to me.
Yeah.
I can lose $5,000 or whatever. Like, okay, well, I lost it. Yeah, it hurts and everything, but it's not an emotional accountability. Like emotional and social accountability. So we were talking about like a social accountability, like, hey, I'm going to stop getting clients and I'm going to disappoint this person because this person's been giving me clients and referring to me.
Right.
So there's like multiple layers of social accountability that you are going to drop off on, let's just say. And that's like multiple embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the question you can ask yourself wherever you are is just like, what's at risk if I don't go all in? And like, what's the benefit if you did go all in? Like, what's the amazing future? And like, it's not really like there's a selfish why, which is like, I like to buy really fancy vegan food and jewelry. And then there's like an unselfish why, which is like, if I don't show up, there are millions of people with messages that will never get them out there.
Yeah, and that accountability too, like the serving,
Yeah. Yeah.
accountability. Like you know, when same thing with you. You get a client and like, hey, these are the things I promised to deliver. I got to service it. I
Yeah.
got to make sure that happens, and I got to do it at a high level because I promised them.
I
And so
promise it.
so I was going into a client agent relationship saying, hey, I promise you this, I promise you this, I promise you this, I promise you this. That elevates me, keeps me accountable, and then I deliver and deliver and deliver and deliver. And
Yeah.
even if it's stuff that other agents don't do, so I promise you, I called today, I promise you,
Right.
I'll give you this report, I promise you that I'll help you with this problem or that problem. So that's the biggest thing. Like all of this, all in all, in a nutshell, we're just talking about major accountability and commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment to yourself, commitment to society, commitment to your clients that want you to, want to work with you,
Right.
and just commitment to all levels. But to be honest, we're already doing that anyways if we're doing the job.
Yeah.
Show up and say, "Oh, I committed to it." We don't like it because it's not fulfilling our soul.
Right.
Right? So we're committing to something that's not fulfilling to our soul.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble, so you'll stay till 5.
Right.
Or like when I had a full-time job, I used to leave at like 3:30 and take my laptop home all the time. I knew I wanted to be someone who managed their own schedule when I had a call like with an Eastern time client or like customer, whatever it was back then, from 12 to 1. So I took a lunch break at 10:30 and I got back with pedicure flip-flops on, and my boss said, "Where have you been?" I was like, "Oh, I went and got a pedicure." She's like, "That's not how this works." And I was like, "I don't want to be here." Like as an entrepreneur, you are so accountable, but you also have the freedom to wake up at 4 a.m. and do all your work and go to the beach all day if you want. But you can also go to the pool and come back at 3 o'clock and finish your work. I mean, those are things I do every day because I want to run my business when my clients are working. But you do have the flexibility to have a creative day or whatever. Like you can if I called you and said, "Hey, we're going to the beach," you would get your work done. So like find something fun to do so that you'll concentrate your time instead of letting it expand into 12 hours just because you can.
Yeah, I have a tendency to solve problems in my head.
Yeah.
So I'll go on my walk, I'll take a break, I'll go somewhere. Like if I go on a vacation and come back, and all these solutions,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So does that mean like I didn't do any work? If
Right.
I just sat here in front of the desk trying to come up with solutions, which is very difficult when you're like stuck somewhere and not able to free your mind. Does that mean I was working?
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like when I'm at yoga, I'm literally thinking about my clients. I mean, I would like to say I was being present, but like my brain is in like a beta state. So it's like processing and solving problems.
Yeah. So I think this concept of time is so weird, sometimes as far as like what kind of value we're putting out.
Yeah.
So super interesting. So anyway, that was a great entrepreneurial.
It's our entrepreneurial pep talk with Leo and Gabi.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into a little bit more, about what you do and how you help your clients more specifically. And so you're obviously, an amazing writer with all these publications and things like that. And I think a lot of that, to me, just from what I know, it comes from your personality. Somebody who's like super, introverted might not be as, open and creative and like, open to different nuances of ideas and stuff like that. I think of like a scientist, and all they do is study numbers, or like data or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that kind of creative. There's some scientific, analysis that has to happen, but I'm talking more about the creative side where you are, more marketing and awareness of the society kind of connection to it. So tell me more, like, and everybody out there, more about the the marketing side of what you do and what you are trying to help people with?
Yeah, so most of the clients that come to me meet a couple characteristics. They're busy, they have a message to share, and they've already done like a good amount of work in the world, but they haven't had the capacity to share it in the written alignment. So a lot of the clients that come to us might have been on several YouTube interviews or podcast interviews, and now they're looking maybe to get like verified on Instagram, and you need like 10 articles to do that, or they're looking to just, make sure their message is spread in as many ways as possible. I think that would be the top tier of our clients, the first one. And so for those entrepreneurs, we listen to their YouTubes and their podcasts, and we learn their voice. And then we write as them for as many outlets as possible that work for their audience, as well as pitch them to bigger publications. The second version is someone who is new and looking to kind of further identify their voice. And in those, I interview them and then write as them for publications. But the general gist of what we do is we are the voice of the client, and we help it get to their person in the right outlet, which is a great service for people because most people hated doing papers and assignments, and that's where I excelled in school. So in theory, I do other entrepreneurs' homework for them.
Okay. And so it sounds to me like you're kind of the voice for them. They're really good at their craft, but they need to get out to the right places.
Yeah.
And then, and if the message needs to be refined a little bit to gear for the audiences, then you help with that.
Exactly. And so I think that helps them, because then they can take the article outlet, and of course the logo is really credible on their website, like if we got them in Buzzfeed, for example, but then they can just copy paste every paragraph and make it their social captions. And I think it's just helpful because that's like, sometimes we're so busy we forget to market ourselves. And so having that content readily available helps them stay top of mind with their customers. Okay.
So if somebody were to like start, what's the time frame or process usually like? How do you kind of quantify like certain returns, not the right word, but like effect, of what that outlet is doing? Are we talking about a couple of months, 6 months, or give us some ideas?
Like when a client starts with me, how quickly do they feel like an increase in awareness? Mm-hmm. Usually, I mean, one article, like we have a special that's going away on Wednesday, the Media Magic, where I interview you for my YouTube show like this, and then I publish as you for one of the outlets. And immediately their audiences are like, wow, like we did a real estate team in Virginia, and they were like, oh my God, you were on Buzzfeed. Like, that's so cool. So immediately you get extra credibility and awareness, because like you might be posting on Instagram every day, like for those of you in real estate in this audience, like, I have a listing or I have a house, but then you're like, oh, look, I gave you so much value and it was so valuable that BuzzFeed shared it. And then people are like, holy crap. And so they're thinking of you, and then they're thinking you're way more credible than your competitors. And then after that, I mean, the link clicks from like a new awareness from an article are high, but then you can use that for an ad too. So I would say the return on investment can be immediate if you're utilizing it in the social tool as well.
So it sounds like once you can get it up there, then you're going to see the increase in activity and awareness and engagement if it speaks to the audience that's seeing the asset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just peace of mind knowing that there's someone who understands what you're doing and that person is sharing it. And like most people find that like no interest factor pretty easily with myself and my team. So like just content really does keep entrepreneurs and business owners up at night. So knowing like I always picture like the woman who tries to explain to her friends what she does, and then she goes to happy hour and she has like 6 articles, and like her confidence is just up here now because she's like credified and like people see it. And that's kind of what keeps me going every day, because I know that version of myself I previously described in December feels way different when she has like USA Today, our apartment therapy pieces about her. It's very different.
Yeah, I think the worst feeling is it's kind of like the website thing. Hey, I built this website. I spent whatever, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Put it out there. Well, nobody came. Mm-hmm. That's the worst feeling. Like you're feeling great. Like, oh, you got a website. You
yeah.
put your stake down, on the internet world and all that stuff, and like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people with a lot of value that they've created, whether they wrote things or built things or created some sort of value in their business, but they can't bridge that gap and get it out into the outlet.
Exactly.
Great. So how would a lot of clients come to you? Obviously, they want to evaluate, what they're doing, and see what you can do to help. How would they, like, initially you would look at their message and make sure that that message is going to be able to be communicated, where all these outlets would be able to take advantage of the outlets to be able to get engaged. If it's not communicated properly, you're not going to get the kind of engagement or the kind of credibility you want, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what helps, not just having a publicity firm, but a ghostwriting publicity firm, because having a journalist write your story means these publications are going to accept it, because one, it's written well, and two, there's already the relationship there. So I think that's our only statement, or our like unique selling proposition, is like a journalist is writing your piece, so a journalist will pick it up. It's not just you trying to put your words together, and I don't mean that in a judgmental standpoint, but just like I wouldn't try to build a database. Like you are a writer, but if you were trying to pitch an article, you would probably feel more confident if, like, you were like, Gabi, will you look at this? Same way as if I was building like a referral database, like it's not my zone of genius.
So what do you suggest for people to help with their messaging? Like, do you have a process to kind of like show them like how they can do that?
Yeah, everyone listening right now, I'll just give you a few quick things you can do today. I want you to think about the number one thing you could sell for the next 90 days, like what excites you the most. And I'm not saying no one can buy the rest of your products, that's fine, but just the one thing you're going to talk about. And then I want you to look at everything you put on social media the past 7 to 14 days. Does that correlate with what you're selling at all? Or does it make sense or confuse your customer? And then think about what you could blog, share theme-wise that would correlate to what you're selling, and then the value you could give around that topic. So you don't want to be that person that sells just straight up sells nonstop. You want to be the person that gives value, so much value that someone looks at you and they're asking themselves, well, if Leo is giving me all this value in his newsletter every day, I wonder what it would be like to be his client.
Okay, so I'm in the real estate industry. So what could be possible messaging from different types of personalities? Like you and I talked a little bit, kind of about mine, because I'm so into more of a holistic approach to everything.
Yeah.
I like wellness. You and I connected because we both like yoga and just want to be healthy and fit, and we're not totally like nutrition nuts or anything, but we want to lean on the the healthier side, and we talk about those things in community, being connected with the community around us. And that's kind of my little wheel.
Yeah.
But that isn't usually a lot of people's wheels as far as being an agent. They're like, hey, I got to sell, I got to feed my family.
Yeah, of
and,
course.
And when's my next closing? So I got to go out there, market. I got to send out more postcards. What is somebody like more that's in that position, and it's more a traditional marketer, I would say? What would you kind of suggest for them?
I guess the first thing in that like example you said, it sounds like a scarcity, like hustle kind of vibe. And so like the people, like the thing from like a wellness standpoint, everyone can feel your energies. So you have to find a way to think like, I'm going to get the client, whether it's this Facebook post or this blog or whatever. So I'm just going to show up in like the best light and give them as much value as possible. Because whether I post from a place of I need to make $5,000 today, or I post from a place of I'm going to make $5,000 a day and this might be the way, is a major energy shift, and people pick up on that.
Okay. So really just assessing, like, hey, if I'm putting something out, is this from a negative energy, or is it a positive one where I'm, pushing forward, or is it something like I'm running away from?
Yeah, the people that run away, they're like Facebook Living, but they're like hiding. They're like, yeah. So I think just ask yourself, like, you need to be in the right energy to send anything, because people just pick up on that. I know it sounds woo-woo, but most of you guys are in California, so you're probably like, yes, Gabi, yes.
Yeah, California is like the sister of like Colorado, right? Because a lot of people come from Colorado and they're like, oh, this is some spots are like pretty chill, like Santa Monica or
Yeah.
Laguna, San Diego. Like, hey, totally like spiritualed out.
Yeah, exactly. I love Laguna Beach. One day I'm going to live over there too.
Oh, you should. You should have a home to go to there.
Yeah, you're right. I'll work on that next. You can help me buy it.
Yes, I'll find you a place. I'll find you 10 places you can pick.
Okay, perfect. Did we get any questions?
Yeah, hey, I see some of you jumping on here. Hey, if you have any questions about marketing and how to kind of just get your voice out and what you guys are trying to, communicate to your audience and see if we can help. Just go ahead and put it in the comments if you have any questions. If you guys are watching live, feel free to let us know that you're here. But if you're watching on a replay, go ahead and type replay as well. And if you have a question and it's on replay, feel free to submit your questions there too. We're both tagged on this, and we can come back and check it out and reach out to you.
Yay!
Yeah. So.
While we're waiting for this to come in, I'll say one thing. Most of the time, what stops us from sharing our message is you watch this on one of my Facebook Lives, like we have an outer mean girl or mean boy that is in our heads. So like as soon as we're about to type something, we think of that person judging us. So you might, and when I say that, it might not resonate immediately with you, but wait for the next time you're going to post on Facebook or write a blog and notice that voice, that the inner judge that comes up, I guess I'll say, and who that might be. And then I want you just to hide the post from them. And then eventually take them off your Facebook, because if you feel like they're judging you, then they don't need to be in your space, because there are people really waiting for you and like who are really going to love and honor your message. And that person, even if you made it up, doesn't get to dictate what you share.
Oh, totally cool. Totally right. I can't tell you how much like support we need from other people that no matter what you do, they love you anyways, and they're going to cheer you on no matter what.
Yeah, and if you get nervous, just remember the algorithm is going to hide people from you anyway. So it's okay.
So you're not the only person hiding. The algorithm's hiding you too. Yeah,
the algorithm's hiding you. No one probably saw it anyway. It's all good.
But really, the more you do it, the less you'll need to hide. You just be yourself.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, nobody. I heard this stat about Gary Vee, what he had to do like 5,000 videos, before anybody knew who he was.
He didn't give up, just like from the beginning of our conversation. He totally could have given up. Now he's like the king of content. Yeah.
So that's where confidence comes from. You keep doing it and you don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
And if you're just being who you are, well, what else can you be? You gotta be somebody else.
Right? I totally agree.
All right, so I don't see any questions here, but what we'll do is we'll move into the next question. As per tradition, I always ask people what they love about where they live.
What I love about where I live. So I live on a country road. It's 2-lane road, and I have about an acre of a backyard that leads into a forest, and I often see cardinals and bunny rabbits on my morning walks.
Wow. So you can enter the forest.
I could. I never have. You think I would as like a weird writer, but I live in Alabama and people shoot guns out there. It's just not safe.
I heard a funny story the other day from a friend. She lives up in Tahoe. And so she has this little cabin that's a rental that she owns. Mm-hmm. So her friend was supposed to go stay there. And then over the weekend, she found out the bears got into it and tore the entire place up.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
So when you say the woods, I'm like, oh, what kind of animals are in there?
Oh, I don't know. Deers. I once was driving home from yoga and saw 4 deers having a sexual encounter. And I was like, we need to move. This is so country. They were just in a line.
Oh my God.
And I was having a really serious day. Like, I was like, oh my God, I've got to get this out. I've got to get this out. Like coming home, like really early. And then I just looked at the husband. I'm like, oh, life is not that serious.
No, life is not that serious. It's about procreating, okay?
Yeah, just have fun. It doesn't matter. But yes, I think.
Okay, so you have a quote that you would like to share with everyone. Tell us what that quote is.
If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
You're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, your fears are just blocking the room, everyone. So share what you need to share and move on.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? Is a
Right,
fear. It's a
exactly.
feeling. The
Yes.
feeling's not gonna kill you.
No, it's just a temporary discomfort.
It's just a temporary discomfort, exactly. Well, Gabi, thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate all the enlightening, not only the conversation, but all the wisdom from your life and your journey, and all that you have to offer to bridge the gap for people to get their voice out. I think that's super, super important. I think we need probably, 1,000 carbon copies of you, because I think everybody really struggles with that. That's why everybody comes and says, hey, what do I post on Facebook?
Yeah.
Hey, how do I, get more clients?
Right.
What they mean is exactly this. How do I get exposed?
Yeah.
How do I get more reach from people that could possibly, use and want, my services? So it's super needed. So I appreciate you, coming on and sharing some knowledge and wisdom, not just in business, but in life.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
You're welcome. And so thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll have this, on my page. So come and check it out.
Oh, and don't forget, there's a free gift that I made you guys. So Leo's going to put the link.
Yes.
I made you all a worksheet.
Yes. So I will put that in the posts and that you guys can have it. And so that you guys can work on your message and, be better of yourself to do some marketing for yourself. Super easy. It's super fun. So
Yay.
I encourage you all to download it and use it. Totally free. And so do that. But this week I have a lot of great lineup. So come on back and join me 5 o'clock Monday through Friday right here on Facebook Live. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.